Hey guys, it's Kyle here at Tye-Dyed Iguana. Today we're going to be talking about something very, very simple. It's the pros and cons of starting either with a smaller tank or a larger tank. It doesn't matter the reptile necessarily. We're just going to talk about pros and cons of the tanks themselves. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so there's a couple things. I know a lot of the times when someone comes in to get a reptile, for example, let's say, I don't know, let's say a ball python, for example. They want to start off with a simple, quick, go easy 20-gallon tank. Call it a day. It's awesome. It works great at first. You know, it's going to save you a little bit of money right out the door. But the issue with that is you are going to have to upgrade. So honestly, the pros are there. It's cheaper. You know, you get out the door, you get the setup, doesn't take as much space, but eventually you are going to have to upgrade. So, you know, the con is you're going to end up spending more money in the long run versus just spending the money out the door on the larger tank. For example, let's say a 40, maybe even a 75. The larger tank's gonna have a lot of benefits in the sense of you don't really have to upgrade after that. So it costs more up front, but it saves you money in the future. Now there are a couple more things we can talk about though. Now with a smaller tank, let's say for example, let's say you got a Pac-Man frog in a smaller tank. Well, that's awesome because he's not gonna have as hard of a time trying to find any type of food or maybe crickets or whatever he might be eating on, whatever the animal is eating. It's gonna be a lot easier for them to find it in a smaller tank versus that larger tank. Or maybe something like a ball python. That smaller tank's gonna make it feel more condensed and safer versus a larger tank that might be quite large. But then again, there are ways around that. If you want to just start off with the large tank, you could always just feed them in a separate bin, feed them with tongs, or for example, let's say a snake, if you got a larger tank, you can just fill it with more stuff so they feel safer. So the pros and cons definitely differ, they go back and forth. Now let's say heating, for example, with a larger tank, heating's gonna be a little more difficult, but we have you covered. We have lights that are stronger watts, we have all sorts of things that can take care of that issue, whereas a smaller tank, yeah, heating's gonna be a lot easier. Same thing with humidity as well. It is gonna be a little bit easier on those smaller tanks. But again, there are things that we have to help with those scenarios. So again, pros and cons, they go back and forth. Another con of starting off with a smaller tank can be that certain animals, I'll use a bearded dragon for an example because it's a great example for this. If you got a bearded dragon, let's say you got a 20-gallon here and you put them in there versus a 40 or even a 75, the smaller tank with animals that can grow at a very fast rate like a bearded dragon, it's gonna stunt their growth. You know, you gotta think these animals come from the wild. They have lots of space, big range. Their bodies are meant to grow and adapt very, very quick. So a small tank like this can really cause serious issues with quite a large amount of reptiles. So starting off with that larger tank might be the better option for you. So that way the animal is living happy and healthy. You don't have to worry about stunted growth issues. Another thing that's really cool about having a larger tank right off the bat is that you can personalize it a little bit easier and add in even more stuff than you would with a smaller tank. Don't get me wrong, this small tank looks amazing. It's got an awesome hide. It's got an awesome little skull hide there. With a larger tank, you can add even more personality to it. You can make it look more personalized for your animal and for your home and display. So again, that's another pro for a larger tank. But you could also get away with the smaller tank. The accessories fit in there, but larger tank, you're gonna be able to put more personality into it. But honestly, you know, you can kind of debate on your own. Personally, the larger tank I think is the easiest and the best option. There's ways around all of it. Yeah, those are just some pros and cons.